Last summer, I was at a dinner party. Smart people, good conversation, and someone turned to me and asked, "So, Daniel, what do you think about the new climate policy?" And I had thoughts, real thoughts, strong feelings actually. But the moment I opened my mouth in English, everything became flat, vague. I said something like, "Yeah, I think it's important," and moved on. You had a whole argument inside your head, and only 3 words came out. 3 very boring words. And I sat there for the rest of the evening frustrated because I couldn't match what I felt with what I could say. If you have ever felt that gap between what you think and what you can express in English, especially on a topic that really matters, this episode is exactly for you.
Daily English Podcast.
From Daily English Podcast.
Hey, English learners. Welcome back. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Nova. This is your daily space for real English conversations, high-level vocabulary, and natural listening practice that takes your English to the next level.
Today, we are stepping it up a little. This episode is aimed at B2 and C1 learners, upper intermediate and advanced, who want to speak about important real-world topics confidently and naturally.
And there is no topic more present in global conversation right now than climate change.
It comes up everywhere. At work, in the news, with friends, in job interviews, in academic settings.
And knowing how to talk about it in English, fluently, clearly, and with real vocabulary is a genuine skill.
So today, we are going to give you that skill. But first, how are you doing, Nova?
I'm good. A little thoughtful this week. I was reading about extreme heat in parts of Asia, and I kept thinking, this used to feel like future news. Now it's just Tuesday news.
That shift is jarring, isn't it? Things that felt hypothetical 10 years ago are just current events now.
Exactly. And I think that's part of why people struggle to talk about it. It feels too big, too emotional, too complicated.
Or they worry about saying something wrong.
Yes, which is exactly why today's episode matters.
Okay, before we dive in, a quick favor. If this podcast is helping you reach that next level of English, please like this video, subscribe to Daily English Podcast, and share it with someone who's also pushing toward B2 or C1.
Especially someone who wants to hold real conversations about real global topics without freezing up. This episode is for them. Okay, let's get into it. So Daniel, let's start with the basics. Why is climate change such a difficult topic to discuss in a second language?
Great place to start. It's hard for a few reasons. First, the vocabulary is specific. Words like emissions, carbon footprint, biodiversity, renewable energy, these don't come up in everyday small talk.
So many learners know the topic but not the English tools to discuss it.
Exactly. And second, it's a topic with strong opinions on many sides, so you need language for agreeing, disagreeing, presenting evidence, and acknowledging complexity, all at the same time.
It's not just vocabulary, it's conversational architecture.
I love that phrase, conversational architecture. Like, how do you build a discussion, not just throw words at someone?
Right. Think of a climate conversation like a bridge.
Okay, a bridge.
A bridge needs a strong foundation. That's your basic facts. It needs solid supports. Those are your phrases and vocabulary. And it needs a clear path from one side to the other. That's your ability to move from opinion to evidence to response.
And without any one of those parts, the bridge shakes.
Or collapses completely mid-sentence.
Which is what happened to me at that dinner party.
No foundation, no support, no path. Just 3 words and a quiet retreat.
Let me share something more personal here, because I think it explains why this topic feels different from other conversations.
Please.
So I grew up near a coastline, a small town, and there was a beach I went to every summer as a child. A specific beach with specific rocks I knew by name. I had given them names, actually, the way children do.
That's beautiful.
And a few years ago, I went back, and the beach was significantly smaller. The shoreline had moved inward. Some of the rocks were gone. Not covered by water temporarily, gone, eroded.
Oh.
And I stood there and I felt something I didn't have a word for in any language. A kind of grief for a place, for a version of the world that no longer existed.
There is actually a word for that in English now. Solastalgia.
Yes, the grief you feel when your home environment changes or disappears. I didn't know that word then, but I felt it completely.
And that's the thing about having vocabulary for complex feelings and topics. When you have the word, you can share the experience. You can connect with others who feel the same.
Language gives the feeling a home.
Language gives everything a home. Okay, let's give our listeners the vocabulary and the tools they need to talk about climate change in English at a B2 to C1 level. Tip 1. Learn the core vocabulary in context, not in isolation.
Meaning, don't just memorize a list of climate words. Learn them inside real sentences.
Think of vocabulary like furniture. A word on its own is like a chair in an empty white room. It exists, but it doesn't tell you much.
But when you see the chair in a real room, next to a table, near a window, with people sitting around it,
You understand what it's for, how it functions, when to use it.
so let's put the furniture in the room. Here are some core climate words in real context.
Emissions, the gases released into the atmosphere from burning fuels. Carbon emissions from the transport sector have increased significantly over the past decade.
Carbon footprint, the total amount of greenhouse gases that your actions produce. Switching to a plant-based diet can reduce your personal carbon footprint considerably.
Renewable energy, energy from sources that naturally replenish, like sun, wind, and water. The country has committed to sourcing 50% of its electricity from renewable energy by 2035.
Biodiversity, the variety of plant and animal life in a particular habitat. Deforestation is one of the leading causes of biodiversity loss globally.
Sustainable, a practice or system that can continue long-term without damaging the environment or depleting resources. We need to shift toward more sustainable models of agriculture and consumption.
These 5 words alone, emissions, carbon footprint, renewable energy, biodiversity, sustainable, will take you very far in any climate conversation.
Because they're the pillars, the foundation of the bridge.
And once you have them naturally in sentences, you stop sounding like you're reading a textbook.
You sound like someone who has thought about this, which you have.
Tip 2. Use phrases to express opinions with nuance.
Nuance is a B2 to C1 word in itself. It means the small, important differences or shades of meaning in a complex topic.
And climate change is full of nuance. It's not black and white, it's many shades of complicated.
So instead of just saying climate change is bad, which is true but flat, you need phrases that show you can think in layers.
Think of opinion phrases like different camera lenses. Each one shows the same scene but from a different angle and with different focus.
So instead of I think, try I'd argue that, or there's a strong case to be made that, or it seems increasingly clear that.
Those phrases show confidence and intellectual weight.
And for acknowledging complexity, while it's true that, it's also worth noting that, or on one hand, on the other hand.
Or, my personal favorite for climate conversations, the evidence suggests that although the picture is more complex than headlines often portray.
That sentence alone signals that you are a careful, thoughtful speaker.
I started practicing these phrases by reading one climate article a week and summarizing it out loud, using the phrases, not just the facts.
So you were building the lens, not just collecting images.
Exactly. And after a month, using those phrases started to feel natural, like my own voice.
Tip 3. Know how to agree, disagree, and redirect politely.
Because climate conversations can get heated, pun intended.
Very good, yes. People feel strongly. Sometimes people say things you disagree with, and how you handle that in English tells a lot about your language level.
Think of a climate debate like a tennis match.
Okay, I like this one.
In tennis, you don't just smash the ball back as hard as you can every time. You read your opponent, you place the ball carefully. Sometimes a gentle, precise shot is more effective than a powerful one.
So the equivalent in conversation is not always pushing back hard, but placing your response carefully.
Exactly. Phrases like, I take your point, however, or that's a fair observation, though I'd push back slightly on, or I understand why you might see it that way, but the data also shows.
Those phrases let you disagree without dismissing, without making the other person feel attacked.
And that keeps the conversation going, which is the whole goal.
I had a conversation with a colleague who said he thought individual actions on climate change were pointless, that only governments and corporations could make a real difference.
A common argument. How did you respond?
I used that structure. I understand the argument. Systemic change is absolutely essential, and I'd add that individual behavior also shapes what is politically and commercially viable. Consumer choices send signals that influence policy.
That's a really strong response.
Thank you, but 6 months ago, I would have just said, I don't agree, and gone red.
The phrases gave you the tennis racket.
A very elegant racket.
Tip 4. Use data and examples to support your position.
This is what separates a B2 opinion from a C1 argument.
At B2, you can say what you think. At C1, you can explain why with evidence and connect it to a bigger picture.
Think of your argument like a tree. Your opinion is the trunk. Evidence and examples are the branches.
Without branches, the trunk is just standing there. It might be strong, but it's not producing anything.
And in English, a few key phrases help you bring in evidence naturally. According to recent data from the IPCC, or studies consistently show that, or a clear example of this is what happened in.
The IPCC, by the way, is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the main scientific body that assesses climate science globally.
A good reference to know.
And you don't need to memorize hundreds of statistics. 2 or 3 strong, recent facts used confidently are more powerful than 20 half-remembered ones.
Quality over quantity.
Always. I keep a small mental library of 3 climate facts I can use in conversations. One about temperature rise, one about sea level change, one about renewable energy growth.
3 reliable facts, ready to use.
And when I bring them in with the right phrases, the conversation immediately deepens.
Because you're not just giving an opinion, you're building a case.
The branches are growing. Tip 5. Practice talking about solutions, not just problems.
This is a crucial shift, and it's also what makes a conversation feel productive rather than hopeless.
Think of a climate conversation like a doctor's appointment.
Okay.
If you go to the doctor and they spend the whole appointment telling you everything that's wrong, your blood pressure is high, your diet is poor, you don't exercise enough, and then they say goodbye.
You leave feeling worse than when you arrived.
Exactly. But if they spend the last part of the appointment saying, here is what we can do, here are the options, here is what is working.
Agency means the feeling that you have power to act, to make choices, to change things.
And the best climate conversations include that. Yes, here are the challenges, and also, here is what is being done, here is what is working.
Phrases like, one promising development is, or there's growing momentum around, or what gives me genuine hope is.
What gives me genuine hope is, I love that phrase. It's honest and human.
It signals that you're engaged, that you care, not that you're panicking or giving up.
I always try to end a climate discussion on a note of possibility, not false optimism, but real, grounded possibility.
What's an example you use?
I often mention that the cost of solar energy has dropped by over 90% in the last decade. That's real, that's measurable, and it happened faster than almost anyone predicted.
That fact changes the tone of a conversation instantly.
From doom to direction.
From problem to pathway. Okay, let's do our vocabulary and phrases recap. These are the ones to keep from today.
First, emissions, the gases, especially carbon dioxide, released into the atmosphere by human activity.
We need to drastically reduce carbon emissions from the energy and transport sectors.
Next, carbon footprint, the total greenhouse gas emissions caused by an individual, organization, or product.
Flying less is one of the most effective ways to reduce your personal carbon footprint.
Then, solastalgia, the grief or distress caused by environmental change in your home or natural environment.
Many people living through severe flooding experience a form of solastalgia as their landscape transforms.
We used nuance, the ability to recognize and express subtle, complex differences in meaning or feeling.
The climate debate requires nuance. Simple answers rarely capture the full picture.
Then agency, the sense of having the power and ability to take action and influence outcomes.
Good climate communication gives people a sense of agency, not helplessness.
We said momentum, growing energy or movement behind a change, idea, or shift.
There's real momentum behind the transition to electric vehicles in many countries.
And one more, viable, capable of working, practical, and able to succeed under real conditions.
Renewable energy is now not just environmentally preferable, but economically viable in most markets.
These words, emissions, carbon footprint, solastalgia, nuance, agency, momentum, viable will genuinely elevate how you sound in English on this topic.
Choose one, make a sentence, write it in the comments. Let's see it.
All right, final recap of today's 5 tips.
Tip 1. Learn core climate vocabulary in context, inside real sentences, not isolated on a list.
Tip 2. Use opinion phrases with nuance. I'd argue that, there's a strong case to be made that, the evidence suggests that.
Tip 3. Know how to agree, disagree, and redirect politely. Tennis, not tennis ball throwing.
Tip 4. Use data and examples to support your position. 2 or 3 strong facts beat 20 half-remembered ones.
And tip 5. Talk about solutions, not just problems. Leave the conversation with agency, not despair.
Climate change is one of the most important conversations of our generation.
And you deserve to be part of that conversation. In English, confidently, clearly, and with your full intelligence behind every word.
Not just, yeah, I think it's important.
Never again.
Okay, here's your question for today. When someone asks you about climate change in English, what is the hardest part for you? The vocabulary, expressing your opinion, or knowing what to say about solutions?
Tell us in the comments, and if you can, write one sentence about climate change using a word or phrase from today's episode.
And if this episode helped you level up your English today, please like this video, subscribe to Daily English Podcast, and share it with someone who wants to speak about important topics with more confidence.
Because you have important things to say. You just needed the right tools to say them.
This was the Daily English Podcast with Daniel
And Nova.
Until next time, keep building the bridge, keep growing the branches, and be kind to yourself.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Your progress doesn't end here. To keep advancing your English, click on the next video or explore the other episodes we have chosen for you.